Hi guys, Ashra the Demon here, and in this video I'll be talking about chapter 982 of One Piece, Scoundrel Meets Scoundrel. Now this chapter is a brilliant chapter and a great follow-up to the previous chapter, which was amazing. Now the reason why the previous chapter is amazing and this chapter is brilliant is because Marco tips the previous chapter into amazing. Now let's move to the chapter. This chapter has a brilliant cover story again, and I think Oda here is trying to depict premarital life versus post-marital life. Now why is that? Well, just look at the cover story. On the left, you have Gotti carrying Lola. It is Gotti who is just carrying Lola to safety. Whereas on the right, you have Chiffon who is carrying not just Capone, she is also carrying her son. It is Chiffon who is carrying both her husband and her son to safety. Now this is what I believe Oda wants to show. The difference between premarital life, where the guy takes the relationship forward, whereas postmarital life, where it is the wife/mother who takes the relationship forward. A really beautiful cover story in my opinion, and the main reason why I think Oda wants to show this cover story is because if they really wanted to escape, he could have just shown them escaping using Gang Beach's ability. Now all of these guys could have gone inside Gang Beach and Capone could have just transformed himself into a tank, and then these guys could have escaped. That is a more efficient way of escaping, but Oda did not choose to do so. He instead showed this particular cover story, which I believe is for that very reason. Now, with the cover story out of the way, let's directly head into the chapter. Now this chapter begins with Kaidou and Orochi partying with each other. And here we see one important member of the Tobiropo, that is Black Maria, and she's entertaining Kaidou. Now even Kaidou asks her, "Why are you not searching for my son?" To which Black Maria replies, "Lord Kaidou, there's more than enough people searching for your son. I just want to enjoy this day with you." And Kaidou is like, "Yeah, you're right. Come on, let's enjoy." And here we see something which actually parallels Robin. Now Robin did the same thing with Orochi. So is Oda again trying to emphasize the fight between Black Maria and Robin? And it could go to the point where Oda is like, this is gonna happen, and he might just say, no, Robin is not the opponent for Black Maria, it is someone else. Now this is typical of Oda to show us one thing and completely change it to another. So even if a Black Maria versus Robin fight does not happen, I won't be that disappointed. Now, one important thing which Black Maria said is she's not going after Yamato. Now this removes one of the 6 Tobiropo searching for Yamato, and we find later on in this chapter there are actually a few more that might actually be forced to drop out. I want to talk about that a little later. Now let's move to the next part of this chapter, that is Kanjuro enters. Now Kanjuro enters and he has Momonosuke with him, and we see that he's still being chased by Kaido's guards. Now Kaido immediately tells his guards not to attack Kanjuro and tells him that he's Orochi's man. And we see one important thing here is Orochi did not tell Kaido that Kanjuro was a spy. So Kaido could have accidentally killed Kanjuro, and all of Orochi's plan, his information network, would have been gone then and there. So that was actually a big gamble by Orochi there. And luckily for him, it actually paid off. Now we see that Momo has been beaten up to a pulp. And that means that Momonosuke has tried to escape and Kanjuro has beaten him up because of that. Now that's what you would realistically expect to happen. But if Momonosuke had played the waiting game, maybe he would have had a better chance of escaping. But he's still an 8-year-old, so you really can't expect that, I guess. So the next thing we see is that Kanjuro tells Orochi that his efforts have actually failed. And he specifically says that Orochi has failed. So there seems to be some kind of rubbing off here between them. And this, I feel, is going to be the dynamic between Kanjuro and Orochi's relationship, if there's going to be a redeeming arc for Kanjuro. Now at this point, Orochi starts getting worried, And as an effort to pacify him, Fukuroju comes in and gives his report. He says that only 4 pirates have been reported. That is Kid, Killer, Luffy, and Zoro. And he tells them that it is only fair to assume that the pirate crews of these people have only made it onto Onigashima, and none of the samurais have been reported. Now, this doesn't actually soothe Orochi. He's still worried. He says, I don't want any false claims. I want actual reports. I want to see the dead bodies of the scarabs. Only then I'll be happy. So, to pacify him, he actually commands Momo to be crucified. Now, this is a really cheap shot from Orochi, but this is Orochi we're talking about. This man cannot go any lower. So, at this point, you'd really hope that Orochi gets the worst kind of punishment possible. I don't want Orochi to die. I want him to get the worst kind of punishment possible. Maybe cut off his arms, his legs, and make him boil. Now, that might be the most ironic punishment that you can give to Orochi. Now, before I go to the next part, one important thing to note here is that Kanjuro does not report about Denjiro. Now, Kyoshiro is somebody who is really important to Orochi, and Kanjuro does not tell him that Kyoshiro is Denjiro. Now, is this because Kanjuro does not know that Kyoshiro is that important to Orochi, or is Kanjuro having second thoughts? Either ways, this will help the Straw Hats and their allies immensely. Now from there we move on to Law and his party, and we see exactly where they are. They still haven't reached the shores, and we see that they're actually making contact with Neko and tell them to arrive as soon as possible. So next we come to Neko and Marco and the rest of the gang, and one important detail we get here is Marco came flying alone. So does that mean he has dealt with Weevil? So is Weevil defeated? Is Weevil going to come again somewhere later in the future? That is something to ponder upon. And we also do not see Izo. Is the silhouette we see at the end, is that Izo? So a couple of questions left dangling here by Ota. Now from here we move to the title of the chapter, and we see that Sasaki and Denjiro meet. And here we see quite a few important things. One, we see that Denjiro actually notices that Sasaki is alone and he's actually vulnerable right now, and he uses this opportunity to capture and gag him. Notice here that he does not actually fight Sasaki, because if he had done that, he and his party would have been noticed. So this actually shows the shrewdness of Denjiro. He actually eliminated one threat without fights and without anything. So hats off to Denjiro there. And one important thing here to note is Sasaki is out of the race to find Yamato. Next, we move on to the part where I was totally wrong last review. And Big Mom does not ignore Chopper, but she runs after him. And she starts chasing Chopper. And this actually sends Big Mom away from Kaidou and the rest. And this also gives Kinemon and the rest to actually continue with their plan. So this helps the allies in a really big way. Now after that we see that Prometheus has actually found the girl team, and here we see that Zeus is actually scared of Prometheus. We can actually see that when Nami's staff actually starts shaking with fear. So the important question, are we gonna see a Zeus versus Prometheus fight? Now this is really interesting and can cause a lot of disturbance, but more than this, if Nami actually finds a way to capture Prometheus along with Zeus, that will be amazing. One, it'll be downright hilarious. Two, it'll weaken Big Mom quite a bit. And three, it'll help me support the theory that Nami is gonna inherit Big Mom's fruit. So this, I feel, is gonna be a really, really important part of the next few chapters coming along. That is whether Nami can actually capture Prometheus along with Zeus. That's going to be important. And from here we move to the last part, that is Luffy meeting Ulti. Now this is the end of the chapter, and a few things happen here. One is we see that Ulti is playing around with page 1, So that I think me tells me that they're siblings. So I don't really think they're lovers. I think they're siblings. And we see that they actually meet Luffy. Now, does this mean that we see a Luffy versus Page 1 and Ulti? If it's either if it's either Page 1 or Ulti, I'll be rather disappointed, because if Luffy is really as strong and he wants to defeat Kaido, then he needs to take down both Ulti and Page 1 without going into Gear 4th. Only then can Luffy have a chance against Kaido. It will be a good opportunity to show Luffy's powers, but I don't think it's going to be a fight. If it is a fight, it has to be Ulti and Page 1, not just one of them, and Luffy has to beat them without going to Gear 4th. Otherwise, Luffy has no chance in beating Kaido. And one important thing here is, does this mean that both Ulti and Page 1 are out of the race to find Yamato? If that is the case, then 4 out of the 6 Tobiropo are out of the race. This means only X-Drake and Huzu are left in the race. So with this chapter ends, and so does my review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, please leave a like. If you want to be notified for any future content, and if you want to say anything about this video, please do so in the comment section, and please do subscribe. This is Ashra the Demon signing off, guys. Bye bye.